You've watched this person absorb everything, every slight, every broken promise, every time someone crossed a line they pretended wasn't there. And you thought they were fine with it. You thought that is just who they are. Calm, steady, unshakable. And then one day, over something small, something almost invisible, they snap. And it is not a little snap. It is the kind of breaking that makes the room go quiet. And nobody, including them, saw it coming. You know this person? They're the one everyone goes to when things fall apart. The steady hand. The one who listens and never interrupts. They're your friend who always checks in on everyone else, but somehow never gets asked how they're actually doing. Or maybe that is you. The person everyone describes as so patient, so easygoing, so hard to rattle. And secretly, you know those words aren't compliments. They're job descriptions, and you've been working that job for years without a single day off. And here is what nobody tells you about the most patient people in the room. Their patience isn't peace, it is pressure. And pressure, given enough time, doesn't just release, it detonates. And the psychology behind why is something everyone should understand. Picture this: you are 7 years old, and the house is loud again. Not hitting loud, not necessarily dangerous loud, just tense. Someone's frustrated, someone's slamming cabinets, and you've learned that the fastest way to make it stop is to make yourself smaller. Don't react, don't cry, don't add to the noise. If you stay quiet enough, the storm passes and nobody gets hurt. Especially not you, and something locks into place right there. A rule your nervous system writes in permanent ink. Emotion is dangerous. Stillness is safety. Psychologist Jeffrey Young called this the emotional inhibition schema, a deep belief that expressing your real feelings will lead to bad outcomes. But in plain English, it is this: you learned before you had the words for it that your feelings were a problem to be managed, not a signal to be heard, and research backs it up. 72% of adults who score high on patience also score high on chronic emotional suppression. Not because patient people don't feel things, they feel everything. They just built a system that catches every emotion at the door and says, not now, not here, not safe. And that system works beautifully, for years, sometimes for decades, until it doesn't. But here is what is fascinating. The breaking point for patient people almost never matches the thing that triggered it. That is what confuses everyone around them. They'll absorb a betrayal without flinching. They'll swallow months of disrespect with a tight smile. And then someone forgets to say thank you, and the whole thing collapses. And everyone looks at the reaction and thinks that is an overreaction. That was nothing. What is wrong with them? Psychologists who study emotional accumulation call it the last straw phenomenon. But the science behind it reveals something much more uncomfortable. The last straw isn't what broke them. The last straw is just what happened to be in their hand, when 20 years of stored pain finally demanded an exit. And here is where it gets really dark, because patient people don't just suppress anger. They suppress the awareness that they're angry. There is a term for this: alexithymia. Difficulty identifying and describing your own emotions, and chronic patience breeds it like nothing else. In plain language, you've been so good at not reacting for so long that you literally cannot tell what you are feeling until it is already exploding out of you. Your emotional seismograph reads flat for months, and then one day it doesn't just spike, it goes off the chart entirely. And that is the dangerous part, not the anger itself, the surprise of it. Because patient people aren't prepared for their own rage. They've spent their whole life being the calm one, the safe one, the one everybody trusts to hold it together. So when they finally lose it, the person most devastated by the explosion is them. Because the anger doesn't come alone. It brings shame. Crushing, disorienting shame that says you just proved everyone right. You are too much. You are the problem. 3 feelings hitting simultaneously. The rage they've been storing, the shock that it escaped, and the shame of being seen as anything other than steady. But here's the thing about that shame. It is a liar, and understanding why requires looking at what patience actually costs the body. Because patience isn't free. Every swallowed reaction, every bitten tongue, every time you chose silence over truth, your body kept a receipt. Research on cortisol and chronic suppression shows that unexpressed emotional stress doesn't disappear. It converts into headaches, jaw pain, insomnia, stomach problems, muscle tension that never fully releases. Your patience isn't just costing you relationships, it is costing you your body, and your body has been trying to tell you that for years. The tight shoulders you blame on your desk, the insomnia you blame on caffeine, the tension headaches you think are just genetics. 3 symptoms, all of them your body whispering what your mouth refuses to say. Something is wrong, and I need you to deal with it. And the worst part is you don't even notice you are doing it. Your fists clench under the table, your jaw locks in your sleep, your breathing goes shallow in conversations that shouldn't be stressful. Freud said it over a century ago. Unexpressed emotions don't disappear. They get buried alive and come back in uglier forms. And for patient people, the uglier form isn't always an explosion outward. Sometimes it is an implosion inward. Depression, emotional numbness, that flat gray feeling where nothing is technically wrong but nothing feels right either. That is stored patience turning septic. And that brings us to something most people never connect: the relationship between patience and identity. Because here is the question nobody asks patient people: who are you when you are not being patient for someone else? And if that question makes your stomach drop, that is the signal. Because the answer for most chronically patient people is, I don't know. They know what everyone else needs. They know how to read a room in half a second. They know exactly which version of themselves to perform in every situation. 3 skills: reading others, adapting instantly, disappearing their own needs, and they mastered all 3 before they were old enough to know they were doing it. And over time, those skills didn't just become habits, they became identity. The patient one, the reliable one, the one who never makes it about themselves. And here is the paradox that breaks the whole thing open. Patient people aren't patient because they're strong. They're patient because they're terrified. Terrified that their real reaction will cost them the relationship. Terrified that their anger will prove they're difficult. Terrified that the moment they stop holding everything together, everyone will leave. And that terror was installed in a kitchen, or a living room, or a car, when they were too young to understand that adults having emotions didn't mean the world was ending. They learned that conflict equals loss, and they've been white-knuckling their way through every disagreement since. Not because they can't handle conflict, but because somewhere inside them lives a child who believes that one wrong word could cost them everything they have. So if any of this sounds like you, I want you to hear something, and I need you to hear it without immediately dismissing it. Your anger is not the enemy. Your anger is information. Accurate, necessary, long overdue information about what you need and what you'll no longer accept. The explosion wasn't a malfunction. It was a message from every version of you that ever swallowed the truth to keep the peace. Every unspoken boundary, every absorbed insult, every time you chose their comfort over your own sanity. That breaking point was all of those moments speaking at once. And instead of being ashamed of it, maybe for the first time, you could be curious about it. Not what is wrong with me, but what has this been trying to tell me? Because patient people don't need to learn how to be nicer. They need to learn that they're allowed to be less nice sometimes. Not cruel, not explosive, just honest. Just willing to say this doesn't work for me before the body has to say it for them. And the people who love you, the real ones, they can handle your honesty. In fact, they've been waiting for it because they've seen the cracks. They've noticed the jaw tightening, the silence lasting 1 beat too long, the smile that doesn't quite land. They already know something's wrong. They're just waiting for you to trust them enough to say it out loud. And that might be the bravest thing a patient person can do. Not holding it all in. Not letting it all explode. Just opening your mouth before your body has to do it for you. If this hit home for you, please subscribe. And if you want to support these deep dives, hit that join button to become a channel member. I would genuinely appreciate your support. And the next time someone asks if you are okay and you are not, try telling them the truth. You've earned that. Just the truth, nothing more, and see who stays.